Welcome to Scotch Plains, New Jersey. This is Verizon Fios, Channel 22, and Comcast Cable, Channel 34. Scotch Plains Television. Your town, your TV.
Scotch Plains Television presents a meeting of the Township Council. And now, from the municipal building, the Scotch Plains Mayor and Council.
Good evening, everybody, and happy St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day. I'd like to call to order the Township of Scotch Plains business meeting for March 17th, 2015. Ms. Lucina.
I wish to make the following announcement to show compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, known as Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of New Jersey, 1975. Notice of this meeting was given by adopting an annual schedule of the location, time, and date, sending copies to the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Times, the Star Ledger, and the Courier News, posting in the municipal building, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk within 7 days following the annual organizational meeting of this body. I'd like to invite forward Girl Scout Troops 40304, 42841, and 40111 to help lead us in the pledge. And if you would please remain standing for our invocation immediately thereafter.
Everybody up. Yeah, doing good. Deputy Mayor. Kids, let's go.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A prayer for the faithful by St. Patrick. May the strength of God guide us. May the power of God preserve us. May the wisdom of God instruct us. May the hand of God protect us. May the way of God direct us. May the shield of God defend us. May the angels of God guard us against the snares of the evil one. May Christ be with us. May Christ be before us. May Christ be in us. Christ be over all. May the grace, Lord, always be ours, this day, O Lord, and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Delsort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Get ready to rock and roll. Ms. Lucina, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Checchio?
Here.
Mr. Del Sordi?
Here.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mayor Glover?
Here. Well, now, folks, a little change in our procedure today. Normally, we'd have public comment, but we have some remarkable people we want to have some presentations of recognition for and to. So with that, we'll lead off with the Deputy Mayor. She's got something special for our Girl Scouts.
First, the good news, girls. There's cookie and juice for you upstairs in one of the conference rooms. I'm sorry that we didn't get that information to you sooner, but we hope that when you're done with us, that you go upstairs and you have a little snack with your families. The mayor has asked me to present this proclamation to you and to your troop, to your entire troop, in honor of a very special day, March 12th, 1912, where the founder, Juliet Gordon Lau, organized the first Girl Scout troop in Savannah, Georgia. Throughout its distinguished history, Girl Scouting has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of courage, confidence, and character. And through the Girl Scout leadership experience, girls develop the skills and lessons that will serve them a lifetime so that they may contribute to their communities. And Girl Scouting takes an active role in increasing girls' awareness of the opportunities available to them today in math, science, sports, technology, and other fields that can expand their horizons. and more than 59 million women in America today enjoyed Girl Scouting during their childhood. And that number continues to grow as the Girl Scouts of America continues to inspire, challenge, and empower girls everywhere. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Kevin Glover, and the Township Council of the Township of Scotch Plains has recognized the week of March 8th through the 14th as Girl Scout Week and recognized March 12th, 2015 as the 103rd birthday of Girl Scouting. So girls, I see some of you are brownies and some of you are daisies, and there's a junior here. So that's very, very exciting. My daughter Alessandra is in 3rd grade, so she's a brownie. How many of you have been to Camp Hoover? Right? Very special. Now, are your families here? I want you girls right now to say thank you to your families for making sure that you get to your meetings and for making all of this happen, because this is such an important part of what you are and what you're becoming. So say thank you to your families.
Thank you, families.
And the only thing that we ask of you is that you continue to do really good things and you continue to make us proud, because we know the work that goes into being a scout, and the mayor and the entire council. We're so proud of you girls, and we're so happy to see some beautiful faces up here tonight. So thank you for coming.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. We had a few words to say. Thank you very much. Now, as you mentioned, March 12th, which was last Thursday, was our 103rd birthday of Girl Scouts. On March 12th in 1912, Juliette Lowe held the first Girl Scout meeting in the United States with 18 girls in Savannah, Georgia. So last Thursday, the Girl Scouts were 103 years old. And somebody else, who's reading next?
Today, Girl Scouts of the USA has more than 3 million girls and adults. Here in Fanwood, Scotch Plains, we have 862 girls from kindergarten through high school and more than 400 adult volunteers. Juliette Lowe believed that Girl Scouts should help their communities during the early years of Girl Scouts. During World War I and the Great Depression, Girl Scouts helped in hospitals, collecting clothing, and made quilts and held food drives.
We still do many of these things today, right here in Scotch Plains. During Martin Luther King's Day of Service, this year Girl Scout troops led projects which made sandwiches for the Salvation Army, pictures to cheer up people in the hospitals and nursing homes, and gift boxes for children in need. Girl Scouts regularly collect donations for Scotch Plains Food Pantry, entertain senior citizens at local nursing homes, send gifts to military troops overseas, and help animal shelters. So we are very happy to be part of the Scotch Plains community. We would also like to thank our neighbors for ordering more than 48,000 boxes for Girl Scout cookies during the current sale. If you didn't get a chance to order any, look for cookie sales booths all around town in late March and early April.
Thank you. So thank you very much for the proclamation, and we'll keep working to keep Scotch Plains a great place to live, and we hope to see you in the Memorial Day Parade.
Yes.
And now our girls brought you some cookies. These are
Oh, boy.
the girls who give
The
them
best part of the day.
Take the cookies over to the mayor. These are rah-rah raisins, which are our new flavor.
And we hope everybody goes out and buys their Girl Scout cookies this year. Dig deep, folks, okay, and dig off.
Okay, can girls
Yeah,
pose by
absolutely.
the mayor for a minute, or do you want them like down on the floor or up? Okay, girls go
Council?
upstairs by Mrs.
Let's look at it. Come on up here, girls.
Okay. Now let's get the photographers around.
Please. Come on, can you see him? So you stand in front of him, this hides my big belly, you know? Now, Al. Well, thank you all for coming out, and let me also say thank you, moms and dads, for these wonderful children. And have a great day. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for the cookies.
Bye, girls. Have a nice day, okay?
Future leaders.
That was beautiful. Thank you again, moms and dads, for coming out. We really appreciate it. And to the girls, you're priceless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That was well done, exceptionally well done. Next, we have a remarkable story to share with folks here, and I won't steal any of your thunder here. Deputy Mayor, we have a proclamation honoring Charles Taylor, and you have it prepared, and would you please, proceed on recognizing
Absolutely, Mayor.
Mr. Taylor.
And I don't know if you noticed in the back of the room, a very dear friend and supporter of Scotch Plains just came in.
I see our assemblyman is, or one of our state assemblymen are here, and we're going to ask him to come forward because he has some comments and a proclamation as well.
Okay, but I know better than
I was
to
going to
talk,
cue,
after Assemblyman
No,
Holly.
so I'm going to cue, I'm
yes.
going to cue the assemblyman up and allow you to go first.
Great, thank you. I'm no fool. Okay, so
Assemblyman, please sit for a
I
second.
do want to say, on a personal note, before I read the proclamation, that I had the very dear pleasure of becoming friends about 4 years ago with Ms. Natalie Taylor, who's in the audience, and she has been a wonderful asset to me, and through her, I had the opportunity to meet her family, who spent quite a little bit of time with me, talking me through some of the very rich history of our township, not the least of which being the fabulous Shady Rest. And we sat on their front porch, which overlooks the building, and we really had an opportunity to have a very nice conversation about some fabulous stories that they were able to share. But they did not tell us, that same day, by the way, I met a Tuskegee Airman. I mean,
Wow,
it
it doesn't get better.
Yes. They neglected to mention one other little piece of history and nostalgia from their family. And if it wasn't for the fact that Natalie was kind enough to forward a link to me recently, I'm embarrassed to say that I would not have made the connection for this. So I thank you for that. And I'm so grateful that you could be here this evening and that you were able to find parking to come into the building. And that Assemblyman Holly came to join us as well. This is a very big night for Scotch Plains. So I do want to read the proclamation. So Mr. Taylor, could you just stand up so the audience can see, please? So, whereas Charles Taylor in 1961 took part in an act of defiance that led to a celebrated civil rights case, and Charles Taylor, a New Jersey student attending Friendship College in South Carolina, went to lunch at the local McCrory's with fellow students and was arrested on trespassing charges for sitting at the lunch counter, and the arrest of 10 men on January 31st, 1961, became a celebrated civil rights case, and Charles Taylor and the men were found guilty and sentenced to 30 days of hard labor or a $100 fine, and their rallying cry became jail, no bail, and the legend of the Friendship Nine or the Rock Hill Nine spread the civil rights movement, and this act of heroism helped to spur even larger protests, which led to the passage of such civil rights legislation in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Kevin Glover, and the Township Council of the Township of Scotch Plains extend to you, Charles Taylor, our utmost sincere respect and appreciation as we recognize that by living by your beliefs, You were monumental in spurring the civil rights movement, which outlawed discrimination and segregation based on race, nationality, and gender. It's an absolute honor to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much. Who already had a child at home and who really was, just afraid to lose his football scholarship. It's a great story. It's an unbelievable asset in our community. We have such a rich history. And I thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Mayor, can I have some cookies, please?
I know you're trying to get me healthy.
Mayor, Township Committee, Council, thank you so much for allowing me to be present before you. Good to see my good friend Al Marabella. Great pick, Mayor, Council, on a great guy to handle your day-to-day. You couldn't find a better guy. Commend you all for that. To all of you, this is a very special moment for me, and I'll tell you why. And Councilwoman, don't feel bad because it wasn't until recently.
I'm Deputy Mayor this year.
I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor, don't feel bad because I too was not aware of the great story of my good friend Chuck Taylor. Many of you don't know that I've known Mr. Taylor most of my life. And he watched over me plenty of nights, traveled with my family, watched over me while I was in school. I had no idea that you had this rich history that technically allowed me to be here today as the first black assemblyman of the 20th District. Because of your advocacy and work and standing up for our civil rights, I'm here today. And this is actually, I just became an assemblyman 3 weeks ago. And I have here my first actual joint resolution, not knowing that all these years that you watched over me, that there'll be one day that I can honor you in such a manner. I'm privileged, I'm honored, and I'm not only here on behalf of our legislative district, which is Senator Lesniak and Assemblywoman Keanu, but also your legislative district, which is Senator Scutari and Assemblyman Jerry Green, and also Assemblywoman Linda Stenner. And this is a joint resolution from both districts to honor you and to thank you so much for standing up for equality and civil rights. You're to be commended, and it's a great honor. And commend to you, this mayor and this council, for even willing to recognize such a man who played an impact on so many young people. You have no idea the lives that this man has touched. So I commend you. But Chuck Taylor, Charles, this is yours. You deserve it, you've earned it, and it's my pleasure to present it to you. Congratulations.
Council, please. Come forward, Mr. Jones. Deputy Mayor. You're doing just fine. special day for us as well. Assemblyman? Don't skip it, please. Come on, everybody get behind.
You get a good one.
Yeah, we Ladies and gentlemen, one more time.
I have a few words to say. Thank you, speech. First and foremost, I would like to thank my God for his never-ending grace, mercy, and covering during what was one of the toughest times of my life, experienced racism. To take that stand, along with my friendship, colleagues, friends, we never thought about making marks in history. We just knew segregation was wrong and sometimes needed to be done. Something needed to be done. I'm glad we took the stand. Never in my life did I think the stand would take. That day was going to have an impact and recognition it is today. With the change, the charges against us, we were vacated on February 28th, 2015. I was overwhelmed with joy. Just like I am tonight. Excuse me. This evening I am humbled and so extremely grateful to be recognized, especially from my town, the town where I was born and raised during the early years of my life. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Mayor Kevin Glover, the Honorable Deputy Mayor Colleen Gianelli, and the entire Scotch Plains Council for this proclamation in recognition and honor I took that day. That means more to me than words can say. Last but not least, I would like to thank my family, especially my cousin, Floyd Toki Williams, because without him, this wouldn't be possible. He seen an article in the paper, and he got in touch with the newscaster, and the guy came to my house and interviewed me. And I'd like to spend special thanks to my pastor, Reverend Kelmore C. Porter, Jr., for his undying love and support to my family and me. I would like to thank my children, my grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends for their love and devotion, and my 93-year-old mother, soon to be 94. for her unconditional love and always being there for me during the times, thick and thin, and for instilling in me the morals and the values I have today. Thank you very much. And I would like to recognize my elk members. I guess you see them all in their collars and everything. And I'd like to recognize my granddaughter ruler, daughter Margaret Scott, and my district deputy, brother Herbert Spann. And I guess that's her. And I'd like to thank Mr. Janelle Holly. He didn't know nothing because I didn't go around advertising that I was on a chain gang. That's nothing to advertise, you know. But during all the times that I kept my mouth shut, now the paper got it, and here I am. One thing I got to say is that I guess I'm taking up too much time, but I had a stroke in July, and it left me stuttering. So that's why I don't talk too much. I keep my mouth shut, and whatever I done, I did it. Now, if you find out about it, then that's on you. So now I'd like to thank my cousin from Philly for coming up, him and his family. They drove all the way up here from Philly. And he told me, he said, man, you know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't ride that far. And I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank all my friends and everybody else that's here in my family and all, my neighbor, my niece, my friends, Audrey and Barbara and Velma, all elk members, and then my cousins in the back, Charlotte and Joan, and I'm not going to take no more of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Taylor, an American hero. One more time. We'll move on in just a moment. Scotch Plains, a wonderful township with a wonderful history, with amazing citizens. Folks, we have one more recognition, a proclamation that I would like to share with you. We have an amazing public servant, someone who's given so much to our community, who, after many years of service to our community, will be retiring effective March 31st, 2015. And I'm speaking of Meg Collier, our librarian. And we have a proclamation signed by myself and the Collective Council Deputy Mayor, and I'd like to share it with you. Whereas Meg Collier, who has served our community as the director of the Scotch Plains Library since 2002, will be retiring effective March 31st, 2015. And whereas Meg has been instrumental in transforming the Scotch Plains Public Library into an award-winning library, and whereas through her leadership, the Scotch Plains Public Library has become a model, inclusive and exemplary service to our entire community. And whereas during her tenure, Meg Collier increased library circulation and membership twofold and oversaw exponential programming growth. And whereas Meg Collier, interest in Scotch Plains Public Library and in its services never diminished. Indeed, she has greeted every day with an unflagging love, and enthusiasm for the institution and the people it serves. And whereas whereas the Township Council recognizes and appreciates the contribution that Meg has given to all the residents of Scotch Plains and to all the visitors to the Scotch Plains Public Library, further enriching their lives. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Kevin Glover, and the Township Council of the Township of Scotch Plains congratulates Meg Collier on her retirement as Library Director of the Scotch Plains Public Library, and be it proclaimed further that Meg Collier's love and enthusiasm for her work may serve as an excellent example to all who serve our township and our community. We'll be presenting this to Meg shortly. There'll be a retirement party in her behalf. And Meg, if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for bringing this community together. Our library is an amazing facility serving every part of our township, north, south, and you've made a profound difference. So thank you, and Godspeed. Okay, here we go. Public hearings and final adoption. So, excuse me, first we'll have public comment. I apologize. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so at this time. To speak specifically on matters that are on tonight's agenda.
I'd just like to remind everyone that we are having a 3-minute time limit per speaker. If you would please make your full comment before anyone on the dais is able to address you. This way you get your full 3 minutes to comment. I'll give you a 30-second warning when the 3 minutes is coming due. And if you are coming up to comment on any of our ordinances, we will have a public hearing for each and every one of the ordinances. So if you could please hold your comment on ordinances until that time. Thank you.
Thank you.
The troops must have the,
No problem.
and that's what it is. Actually, they would have been cool if they saw that, so, but they, I don't know whether they would have been all done to appreciate it.
Do you have my notes? A cheat sheet?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did I take it?
Did you take
I feel like there's a lot of paper out here today. It's right out there. I think you had highlighted something.
Seeing no one coming forward. Oh, okay, where is it?
Rich Fortunato, Rambling Drive. Mr. Mayor, as to the budget, which is part of the agenda,
Yes.
the capital budget I saw on the website includes a item for a park pavilion. What park and what kind of pavilion is that?
Going to defer to our manager.
I can speak to that, Mr. Mayor. Initially, there was some talk from the recreation director about putting a pavilion at Ponderosa Park. And since there's been some subsequent conversation about that's not really the direction that the township wants to go, if the county wants to put a pavilion in, the county can pay for that pavilion. So there is a line item in there for matching capital dollars in accordance with the perceived grant that's coming up, but it won't be for a pavilion in Ponderosa.
Where would it be?
Well, it's not for a pavilion. It's for general park improvements and a matching grant in accordance with what's been the tradition of the county offering for kids' recreation.
Okay, even though in the budget it says park pavilion.
When we finalize that portion, it won't read like that. It just because that was a draft budget, and that's why it was there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay? You're welcome.
Good evening. Michael Marcus, Scotch Plains. You can call me Mickey. I want to speak to you tonight about a matter that I had the privilege to address as a member of this town council back in December 2014, and that had to do with the resolution that was passed to switch the health benefits plan for the township
I don't believe that's on.
from the Oxford.
Excuse me, sorry, sir. That's not a part of our agenda. If you'd like to comment
Yes.
on that, you can do that at the end when the public session.
I believe it is part of your agenda. You're addressing the budget tonight, am I correct?
Sir,
You're addressing the budget tonight?
We would ask that you could hold your comments until the second public hearing?
Well, I would like to make a point because I'm unable to stay until that point. The point is, that resolution was passed, and it was passed to save 400 and, let me finish. $458,000 in increase to the health care benefits.
Sir, respectfully.
Excuse me.
Wait,
Excuse me.
listen, hold on.
Respectfully,
Stop.
this is a budget item.
I would
Is it
ask
correct?
that you hold your comments, and I would respectfully ask that you hold your comments to the second public hearing.
Well,
I would hope you would do that and allow us to continue this meeting, and to be
Well-
respectful of this council.
I am respectful of the council. Believe me.
Sir, I'm asking you, and I don't want to pursue this further, I'm asking you to hold the comment until the second public hearing. Now, with that,
It's not, the budget isn't on isn't a public hearing. There isn't an opportunity to comment on
he
the
can
budget during
comment
the public
on
hearing
this at the
portions.
second.
It's part of
Sir,
tonight's
excuse
agenda.
me, Councilman.
Mayor, is
I've
the
made
bu-
my-
is the
I've made
budget
my
on the
decision.
agenda tonight?
I am running this meeting. And
I'm aware of that.
respectfully asking you for the third time to allow us to continue our meeting, and if you'd like to make comment, please do so later.
Well,
Thank you.
I'd like to make a
We'd like
comment
to-
on a.
Sir, you
on
know,
an
you're
agenda
being
item.
disruptive,
Okay.
and we cannot have
No,
that.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
No,
You're
sir.
interrupting me. And you're
I'm
not
not going to
allowing me
allow
to
this
finish
to,
my
I'm not
question.
going to allow this to continue. Now,
Fine.
I'm
Fine,
going to
Mayor.
ask, if you pursue this, as you
Okay.
are,
I'm going to ask
and if you're
another
going to
question.
pursue this, then, I'll ask you to leave the courtroom.
Okay.
Because we're going to continue this meeting.
That's very hospitable of you.
No,
and
you're
I
not,
appreciate
I've
that.
respectfully asked you 4 times now. So may we
I'm
please
going
move on
to
with this
speak on
meeting?
another issue then, Mayor, since
If
you
it's on,
will not allow that to be discussed. The issue is on the agenda. It has to do with the Recreation Commission. I will simply say that I believe that this town council's approach to abolish the Recreation Commission is the wrong thing to do.
thank you.
I have served on the town council. I've been recreation liaison for 2 years. Some of the finest people I've met in this town and had the privilege to work with are on that recreation commission, past and present. And this is an institution and a tradition that has been in existence in Scotch Plains for decades. It has been an independent commission made up of citizen volunteers who volunteered their time to address recreation issues for our community. I believe that it is highly improper and the wrong thing to do for this council to interfere with the function of an independent recreation commission. And that commission should stay as it is. It's a commission that functions well. If you want to address issues with respect to the department, that's a separate issue. I do not believe that there's any reason to abolish the Recreation Commission and to usurp their authority.
Thank you for your comments. Tony.
Thank you.
Carolyn Perkins, 861 Westfield Road, Scotch Plains. The seniors had their trip to the Brownstone. We went out and celebrated the green. Thank you for providing the bus for us. That was appreciated. We're still meeting at the Baptist Church on Morse Avenue because apparently the roof fell in at the Shady Rest, so we have been displaced. There are several things on the agenda here, and I want to address some of them. I hope you will bear with me. The resolution establishing a monthly stipend for the acting director of public property. I think that's wonderful. I think Mr. Timko deserves it. And I do think that as you say you are going to get a permanent replacement, I do hope that you actually do interview people, which was not done before for another position, and consider a vet. A vet serves and gives up part of his life to serve his country. The least we can do is interview him and give him an opportunity to get a job because he put his life on hold.
Thank you.
On the municipal budget, there is a copy of it, the proposal at the library. There is nothing definite in figures, but I looked up some of the proposals, and I want everyone to realize that departments can ask for anything, but wants are different than needs. We need certain things. I want a lot of things, but you can't get them because the dollars aren't there. I know what my checkbook looks like, and I know what the town's finances are doing. For example, spring cleanup last year was $58,000. It's going to be $97,000 this year. Overtimes for park and recreations, they appropriated $8,000. We spent $28,000 last year. I could understand some of this overtime if we had Hurricane Irene or Sandy, but we didn't have all that disaster, okay? My last thing is, and it's not on the agenda, but I did tell the lady I would say this. Grease is playing at the high school. It is a wonderful, wonderful show. It's 7 p.m. There's a lot of seats available this Thursday, 7 p.m. It would do your heart good to see our high school students perform better than Broadway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to make sure I'm up here for the
Your
right...
name, ma'am?
Oh, Delia Collins.
Yes.
72 Georgia Street, Clark,
you.
New Jersey. Wanted to ask about a consent agenda. Am I in the right time frame? Okay, on Resolution 2015-70 regarding the agreement with the shared services with the Township of Edison to provide animal control services. It said that there would be an attachment with the actual contract, and I was wondering if that was available tonight, or would I have to Oprah that? Or,
Why we don't have it?
and how would I get a copy?
I'm sure we can get you a copy.
The reason that I'm asking for this is that we have a Facebook page called Union County Lost Pets, and we had some confusion this weekend regarding picking up of animals in Scotch Plains, and some people are unaware of where they go and who to contact if they have a stray animal in their area. And I'd like to have that information available.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Okay, thank you.
It was very kind of you. Thank you, ma'am. Seeing no one coming forward, we'll move on from close our public comment section at this time, and we'll move on to the public hearing's final adoption. Ms. Lucina, can you please read by title our first one?
Ordinance number 2015-1, an ordinance providing for the implementation in the Township of Scotch Plains of the 5-year tax exemption and abatement law pursuant to NJSA 40A:21-1 at C.
Mayor, I move that the public hearing on this ordinance be opened.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a vote on the roll call, please? Can we have a vote?
You just have to voice vote.
Oh, that's what I'm asking for. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Would anyone like to address the council with reference to this ordinance? Please come forward. Seeing no one? Deputy
Mayor, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor, I move that this ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be advertised according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
We'll do a roll call.
We'll do a roll call. Thank you.
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sordi?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Ms. Lucina, our next ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 2015-2, an ordinance abolishing the Recreation Commission of the Township of Scotch Plains and establishing a Department of Recreation for the Township of Scotch Plains.
Mayor, I move that the public hearing on this ordinance be opened.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone like to address this council with reference to this ordinance? Please come forward. Good evening.
Andy Weber, 1700 Oakwood Terrace. Couple quick points. Right now I'm standing here as a rec commissioner, current rec commissioner. We alluded to it before. The Rec Commission's been, established in 1949 to serve the community as an independent group while discussing and making decisions on important issues for the town, such as senior programs for the seniors, cultural arts, day camp, and youth sports programs, just to mention a few. The commission's always been made up of volunteer residents from a true cross-section of the town. North side, south side, all four corners, different backgrounds, demographics. It's a true representation of our town. The commission's worked tirelessly and successfully for over 65 years of service to the community through countless town councils, Democrat and Republican, multiple town managers. One in particular for over 30 years worked well communicating and coordinating with the rec department and the commission. Yet today, we have a town council that is 40% new, 2.5 months in the seat, a town manager with 2.5 months in the seat. And this breakneck speed situation is up with disbanding the rec commission, and we just don't understand why. Why move so fast on this? Why is it top priority, one of the first actions of this council this year? It's been stated that the rec director needs to report directly to the town manager. Okay, so let it be done. I don't necessarily disagree with the logic behind that, but why does that need to blow up the entire commission? It's really never been explained in detail. If the and it has been stated that that really is the only change that is being part of this abolishment of the rec commission. And if that is true, we really just need to get an explanation of why, if the director is to report directly to the town manager, why the commission really needs to be disbanded over that. It's no disrespect to the current town council, but town government really doesn't normally move this swiftly and make decisions this quickly. So it's kind of baffling right now why this one is moving at the speed it is. The rec departments haven't been, the youth organizations, sport organizations
30 seconds.
have not been talked about with us, have had no real communication. So anyway, bottom line is we ask to not disband the rec commission, or at a minimum, study the ripple effect that it might have on the community before you act. It is a responsible thing to do. Second item real quick is wearing the hat of a lacrosse club board member. I'm a realist. It sounds like the council is going to go south tonight by the vote.
Time.
I'm sure right down party lines. So we just need to talk about real quick just the field permitting issues. We need language in there that says we will not lose field permits.
Thank you. We'll be addressing that, Mr. Weber. I assure you. Thank you for coming out.
Frank Fester, Ramapo Way. I'm assuming that this is going to go through, so I'd like to know how many full-time employees are we currently paying through the Recreation Department, and after this goes through, how many full-time employees will we have? And if you're not going to cut any full-time employees, why are you doing it?
I appreciate your comments. As I said, at this point, we're not making any changes to the present staffing.
So you don't know how many full-time employees are in the Recreation
No, I don't
Department?
have that at my fingertips, sir. We can
Manager?
We can, I'm certain, get that for you unless he has it at his fingertips.
6?
There's 12.
12. And after tonight, there'll still be 12.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Fester.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Frank Rossi, Dogwood Drive, Scotch Plains. As several of you know, I had the privilege to serve on this council for a
Councilman, it's nice that you've come out tonight.
Thank you. And I was pleased. I didn't know Mr. Taylor, but he certainly was very distinguished and more than deserving of the honor of this council and the town, and gratitude. And Meg Kalai I do know very well. She was brought on by the Township when I was here, and was a tremendous servant, and wish her well. why I wanted to speak, and I have been back very few times, and almost always recreation because it's a great passion of mine. 7 of the years I was on council, I served and had the privilege to serve as the recreation liaison for the council. And I'd just like to raise 2 observations from my experience that I think are relevant to some of the comments I've heard relative to the decision. The first one is transparency. In my experience, I saw no organization, no department in this town in which the council had more transparency too. There was a council representative that participated in each and every recreation commission meeting. That council liaison reported back. In addition, the recreation leadership as well as the commission frequently spoke to the council and met with the council. This is not something that's usual with departments like the police department, the public works department, the finance department. Council members don't routinely serve as a liaison or in those meetings. With the Recreation Commission, it was real-time observation of that. The second one is relative to the recreation leadership and involvement with the town manager. My experience was that the recreation leadership had almost daily contact with the town manager, and that the recreation leadership would not move without alignment on a substantial issue. I don't want to say any issue, a substantial issue, without alignment with the manager, the council, and the volunteer representatives. It was a true checks and balances that we don't have in that many departments.
30 seconds.
The one of which I can think of is the library department, which is by state statute. So those are my observations. I'm not sure why the town is moving forward. We can always improve. I would suggest with a new council, a relatively new manager, with the issues of budget, tax rate, roads, etc., to change a department that has for decades done very well and focus our attention on the issues at hand. And I respectfully would ask the council to seriously consider voting no to this resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Mr. Rossi, for coming out.
Robert Jordaneller, 2407 Monica Place. Good evening. I have served on the Recreation Commission for 9 years, the last 5 as chairman until I decided to step down on December 31st. 4 mayors, 5 managers, more than a dozen council members have served during that period. So except for perhaps the mayor, no one knows more about the relationship of the rec department and the recent history than I do. From what I heard, the decision is already a foregone conclusion, no matter what anybody says here tonight. Nonetheless, I appear here tonight foregoing a birthday dinner with my son because I believe the vote tonight is not based on what is best for the operation of the township, but because it is motivated for personal reasons. And I don't think that's appropriate, and I think it just has to be said. So I've heard reasons saying that it's necessary for the director to report directly to the manager in order for everything to operate properly. But I know, having served for the 9 years, that this is far from the truth. There have been 5 managers, and I've seen the director work closely with each and every manager, carrying out his directions without issue. When asked by the manager, he took on the enormous task of the FEMA claim. The commission did not give him that assignment. When asked by the manager, he took on analysis of utility charges for the entire town to evaluate potential savings. That was not done by the commission. When asked to do other responsibilities, DPW, equipment analysis, etc., that was at the direction of the manager, not the commission. So the point is, the director has worked with and followed the direction of the manager, at least for the 9 years I've been on. So why change things now? And I'll tell you why, because I think it's personal. Now, I have to admit that I've had discussions with some of the managers, predecessors, about whether the commission should exist. And I told each of them the same thing. Wait and see how the process works. You'll find that having a commission does not interfere with your ability to manage the town. And I think each will say, if they were willing to come back here tonight, that I was right. Now, you may say, if the director already reports so closely with the manager, what difference does it make to have the commission? And I will tell you, because it is one of the few, if only, bodies that is not driven by politics. I served with more than 15 volunteers during my tenure, and all served because they represented different parts of the community, motivated by decisions and recommendations based on what they thought would be best for the community. I have 15 seconds. So all I'll say is I have no grand illusions that what I say here tonight will sway the majority to vote against the ordinance. But I do hope the council will at least be truthful about the reason for the proposal before it tonight.
Thank you for coming out tonight, and
Thank
of
you.
course, thank you for your service over the years to the community.
Thank you.
Anybody else coming forward?
Deborah Graffox, Crestwood Road in Scotch Plains. I never served on the commission. I just had children who enjoyed sports in town. We've never had a problem being one of the consumers of the recreation here in Scotch Plains. I do know people that have volunteered their time, their energy, and what I think must not be discounted is their enthusiasm. The commission was an opportunity for people to give back to the town who weren't voted into council, who weren't an official. It's a way of people coming together from every corner, as mentioned, and it truly was just to promote the recreation of primarily the youth, but also of other ages in the town. I think when you're taking this away from the volunteers, you're not only getting rid of a valued and honored contribution over decades of time, but it discourages people from wanting to volunteer. They're not going to have other venues. You don't want them volunteering in the police department. You don't want them volunteering in some of the other departments. But when there are people that enjoy a sport, are good at a sport, want to organize, want to promote sportsmanship, this is their venue, and they've been good at it. So when the gentlemen have spoken about communication between individuals, I think that's a more relevant way of fixing what might be broken, if it's broken at all.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Anybody else like to address the council? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Neil Kaufman, 64 Clydesdale Road in Scotch Plains. I'm privileged to talk to the council. Thank you very much. I'm also the current president of the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Baseball League. A little less than 30 days ago, I spoke at this microphone along with a lot of other people. I thought that if some of the concerns about this ordinance were heard, that perhaps the council would reconsider abolishing the Recreation Commission. After that meeting, I don't speak in public meetings very often. After that meeting, I think a lot of us were very discouraged. We did not feel that any of our concerns were heard. We also feel we were misled. As was alluded to prior, it was discussed that this was about a single reporting relationship and nothing else, and that's not true. The commission is actually a big deal. It has authority. It's defined by New Jersey statute, and it is apolitical, as we heard earlier, which is a benefit that I think a lot of people would consider something that's very positive for the recreation community and our kids. So since that time, the allied association groups, which would be soccer, baseball, lacrosse, PAL, I don't want to leave anybody out, but the major nonprofits that serve the community have gotten together and we're united in opposition to this. We're asking for a slowdown. We're asking for tabling the issue. We want to discuss solutions before it gets blown up. That would be the responsible thing to do. Unfortunately, so far, our discussions have been useless. I have found that the council, unfortunately, along party lines, seems single-minded in their political purpose. I did ask what the problems that were being solved by this rash action were, and I listened very closely. First of all, I was told, as we heard already, that the commission was very valuable. The people who serve, both past and present, are wonderful people, and it's all great stuff. I actually did ask about Mr. Porio. I have no allegiance to Mr. Porio, but was there something that he did or some drastic personnel issue that has to be dealt with? Obviously, it's none of my business, but I was told that there was nothing drastic, it was nothing like that. So I did hear three things that I boiled down into my mind of three major issues. One was that the current structure doesn't work, which I don't fully understand. It's kind of not easy to follow because, again, we heard it was all good. Can't get done what the council wants to get done. Well, it does occur to me that maybe one of the purposes of the commission is to sift through the politician requests and figure out exactly what should be done for the community and do those things as a priority. So I guess that's not really surprising. The last thing I heard was there's no accountability. Well, the department is certainly accountable to us. They're accountable to soccer, lacrosse. If we don't get what we need, we are screaming from the mountaintops. So, you know, I think that I don't follow that one either. My question is, I don't understand why this council can't do what every other council has done for the last 50 years, is work within this structure. I don't understand it. I don't think you've met with the commission to try to discuss any of these issues. You certainly haven't met with any of our groups. Lastly, I just want to thank the only council member who has unwaveringly supported recreation, the Recreation Commission, the Allied Association groups, and has reached out to us and helped us. I thank you very much. That's Councilman Llewellyn Jones. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight. We'll be fine.
Good evening, Christy Maria, Fanwood, New Jersey, here representing Scotch Plains-Fanwood Soccer Association as their president. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over what all the other people that spoke before me said, but I can tell you we're in full support of what they said. I will say, back in late October, we came to this council meeting and asked very hard questions about the rumors we had heard out there, and we were told categorically that wasn't on the agenda. We come back in December, and it most certainly is on the agenda. And so, again, like the people that spoke before me, we have a lot of concerns, and our constituents have a lot of concerns regarding the rapid nature of this, the fact that there was no communication outwardly to us to talk to us about what was going on here. We represent a large faction of the township, the taxpayers, the children that play on these fields. Why was no one consulting us? And if you read the Facebook pages and all the social media going out there, there were a lot of people asking that question as this went on. Furthermore, there's language that I'm understanding is not in this current ordinance that is going to be looked at tonight that doesn't really protect our groups, our nonprofit groups, in terms of field allocations, which has been a concern in this town because things have gone on in the past related to that. So I just ask that, again, like everybody that spoke before me, you think about the fact that there were some things missed along the way here in terms of who you were speaking to and consulting. We're not trying to direct you, but we would like to be a part of that conversation, and we feel we've kind of been left out of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Anybody else coming forward? Seeing no one, I thank everybody for coming up to the mic and expressing their opinions. We've had that response at great length the last time we met. Deputy Mayor, I'm going to move that we...
Mayor, I'd like to move that the public hearing be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Deputy Mayor, next.
Is there an opportunity for council comment this evening?
Right now, I think.
Yes, discussion on
Certainly
an
can.
ordinance is appropriate.
Okay.
Please.
As a side note, we should revise this because it's not laid out.
No,
to
but go
indicate
ahead.
that. I just wanted to thank everyone who came out this evening. It's very nice to see you, Mr. Marcus, as well. I appreciate all of your comments, and I've listened. I listened the last time you were here. I listened in October, and I listened when I met individually with several of you. Although those conversations seem to have been very quickly forgotten. I have been an advocate for recreation since the moment I've stepped foot in this town. I've seen recreation work, and it has the opportunity to define our community. I'm so sorry, ma'am, I don't remember your name, but one of the things that you talked about was the passion of our volunteers. All of the opportunities that have existed for volunteerism still exist under their proposed new structure. What we're asking is that the members of the commission fulfill their terms, if they choose to do so, and we hope that they do so, as members of a recreation committee where they still have an opportunity to be voices of different organizations. All of the leagues would still be more than welcome to continue, and we hope that our relationship can only continue to flourish. We recognize the value of what's done for our community. Several of us still have young children that are participating in these leagues. We want to see them continue to thrive and continue to be successful. This is one aspect. Recreation is an area of a very substantial budget and a township with many needs. All of the departments that currently exist in this township report to one person. It's the person that this council has selected to act as the CEO for the township. He serves to make the best possible decisions for all members of our community under all circumstances. Having known him for many, many years, you will never find a greater champion of recreation than Al Marabella. The recreation department could not fall within a better hierarchy than answering to this particular manager, who in the past has done nothing but facilitate dollars and cents coming into this community to help build some of the very fields that we had an opportunity to look at in a previous presentation. I've taken everything that you've said into consideration, and I understand your concerns. Some of them are very legitimate. I do believe that the issue has been very polarized, and it's unfortunate that we have some personalities who sought personal gain out of this. But it is a real issue for the township, and you are deserving of some assurances. I apologize that we did not meet with the leagues. I think that was a misplay, and I apologize to you personally, and I've said that that wasn't the way that I would have wished to handle it. Moving forward, though, I heard all of your concerns, and tonight, later on this agenda, this council will be recognizing the continued relationship with our allied associations. That relationship drives the field use that everyone is concerned about. Field use will still be determined by the same recreation department that you've enjoyed working with through this time. Based on the level of mistrust that I've heard from so many of you, and as I've said to you privately and in groups, there's very little that we can say this evening to provide reassurances to you. The way to give you reassurances is to do an excellent job and to continue to make recreation a priority for this community. Months and years from now, you will recognize that our goals were not what you think that they were, and that this system will only continue to flourish and to further develop from this point on. If you have individual concerns as far as policy moving forward, I would encourage you, really, to speak with Mr. Marabella. Come in and sit down and have a cup of coffee with him. I think that you'll find that he shares many of your same goals. And having raised children in these communities, he's had the opportunity to stand on many of the same fields that you're concerned about. I thank you very much, and I hope we can continue to work together.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to comment? Would you like to comment?
I'll make some comments. I think I spoke last month when this ordinance was introduced, and I was opposed to it then, and I'm still opposed to it now. And I spent a decent amount of time discussing it with a number of people, and I haven't really learned anything in the last month that makes me think we need this change. You know, the primary reason given that you've heard the mayor speak about and the deputy mayor and the manager speak about is a direct report. And I want to discuss that a little bit. You know, that's the stated goal for making this change, but this change necessarily changes a lot more. It's removing a commission form, and the commission form has real teeth to set policy, and the commission is necessarily an independent, autonomous body. I think one of the speakers earlier tonight mentioned that alluded to the fact that the commission has always had a unique stature in terms of communication with the council. We have a liaison who goes right there. We have good back and forth in a way that we don't have with the other departments in our town. And so with that in mind, what I'm trying to think about here is, well, is there a way, given we ought to or could have a dialogue with the commission, is there a way to kind of come to some sort of compromise on this issue? And the idea that occurred to me was that I think we ought to consider slowing this whole thing down and having our liaison. You know, it's clear that the number of the sports authorities in town haven't been consulted in this process. Clearly, the commission hasn't been consulted in this either. Have our liaison go to the commission and ask them if they have the right and the power to write their own bylaws, would they consider amending their bylaws to make it clear that the Director of Recreation reports directly to the township manager? That would satisfy the only reason given for this change, and it would not require us then to dissolve the Recreation Commission, which would allay an awful lot of concerns that it seems many people have. So, you know, I think that's a good opportunity for compromise. So with that, I guess I would make a motion that we table this ordinance and this vote and follow through with that recommendation.
Is there a second for the motion to table? Okay, then the motion to table will fail. And
any other comments?
Yeah, I have a few more comments if that motion fails. There has been a good amount of discussion on the topic of field priority and allocation, in particular as it relates to the allied associations. And I've received a substantial amount of feedback on this. And I believe we've now had something else amended to tonight's agenda in regards to this, though I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And I think the fact that I got something thrown to me here right as I walked in kind of speaks to the nature of this whole process as being awfully rushed. But what I believe that item speaks to is a set of rules passed by the Commission about 7 years ago that states that the allied associations and as nonprofits have primary rights to the fields in town, and that it excludes for-profit organizations. But one of the benefits of some of the conversations I've had is I think I've learned that set of rules is probably not as strong as we might want it to be. And I think that would be another reason to slow this process down. I think that including that resolution here as another resolution, I think it's a nice gesture, but I don't think it has, I think it's tenuous at best. I think a resolution's, worth about as much as the piece of paper it's on. It can easily be unwound. I think if we really want to stand by those rules, we ought to make them stronger, and we ought to include them as a part of this ordinance. I was going to make another motion to table and add that, but I don't think I'll waste my time with that. I go back to one other thing I said a month ago, which was the idea of checks and balances. And I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind here. This is a structural thing that if it's changed, it's going to outlast all the people here on council for a long time. And the reason you have these checks and balances is to keep politics out of recreation. Now, all the people up here can tell you that our goals match your goals. And they could be telling you the honest truth from their hearts. But they can't speak for the people who are going to be here 3 years or 6 years or 8 years from now. And so that's the reason why you have checks and balances in place. And I think that it's a check and a balance that we're removing that we ought not to be removing. Additionally, one other topic that's come up in this discussion is the issue of allied associations, their nonprofit status, and their financials. And I don't think it had ever got included in here, although it's one area which is still unclear to me, because there was a suggestion made that that we need to provide further oversight of the allied associations. And, financial oversight always kind of sounds like a reassuring thing, but I think in this case it's potentially a double-edged sword. And what I mean by that is if what people are talking about in terms of financial oversight is all the allied associations in town having to give up their financials to the township and to the politicians ultimately then, I think that's a risk, because what sometimes politicians see then is they see dollar signs. Case in point would be the debate we had here over the library 2 years ago, where there was a push to cut the library's budget, and it was said that, well, we can do this because the library board of trustees or friends or whomever have a lot of money, and so clearly they can just spend that money to keep the lights on. So I think it's a real concern that people in the sports organizations should have, that if you have to give up your financials to the town, well, hey, you know what? That organization's got a big pot of money, so maybe we don't need to fund their request, because you know what? They can pay for it themselves. So those are a couple of my high-level concerns. I guess I would just go back to the theme again of volunteerism. I hear that, it said that, well, we're still going to have a committee, but people are more interested and willing to serve on a committee when you know your committee really means something and you're not going to be overruled. If you have a committee that can be micromanaged by politicians, it's a good chance you're not going to be able to get as many good people to serve on that committee. So, and unfortunately, it kind of ties into a bit of a theme here in terms of how we're treating some of our volunteer organizations this year. But anyhow, this one in particular goes back to World War II, and I just think we're making a mistake on this, so I'll continue to vote no. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to
Please.
make a comment. For a point of clarity, who appoints the commissioners, Mr. Manager? Manager does. So to the woman's point about being political and non-political, manager's supposed to be a person that doesn't have a political view. But let's just say in a perfect world that happens. So you want to say political, is the commission political now? Is the committee political? Politics are always going to be involved in something. But
Can we let him? Ken, please.
So my point about volunteers and politics, let's take the politics side and let's put it on the side, right? Because politics are going to be involved no matter what, unfortunately.
You need to describe words to me that I didn't say.
You said that it wasn't going to be politically motivated or politics is not involved in it if it's a commission. I don't want to get into a debate with you, but what I want to say is that people are appointed to these commissions. It's always politically motivated. Over the years, people have been put there politically. As far as a volunteer base, I volunteered in this community for years. And I said this last month, I'll say it again. As I volunteered for baseball, basketball, soccer, and many other things that I did in this community, I didn't do it based on what ran the program, if it was a committee or a commission. I did it because it was in my heart for my children. I care about this community, and I care about the future of this community. And if anybody knows anything about the field situation, I was a coach back in the day when we didn't have turf fields. So go out to Southside tonight and tell me how many teams are out there practicing. There's probably 6 or 8. We didn't have that luxury. I was the guy on the side of Brunner School, kicking the ball on the concrete with the kids, saying, God forbid, I hope nobody fell. We tried to make it work. This thing is about streamlining accountability. The township pays these employees that work for the rec department. I don't know where they are all day long. I will tell you this, though. As a coach of recent years, I found water bottles all over the place. I was a champion to tell other teams to pick up their stuff in the park. When I seen a rec commission vehicle in the parking lot, just sitting there. And I've been told they're part-time rangers. They're not accountable, are they? They're not picking up the garbage, are they? They should have been picking up the garbage. They should have been throwing it away and protecting our parks. But they weren't. Well, maybe if there was the accountability, somebody, I could pick up the phone and call the manager and say, hey, who's in charge? And maybe streamline it, it would have got done. It's embarrassing to be a coach and tell the other team, pick up your water bottles. And then the coach could turn around and say to you, well, where do you want me to put them? You see that pile of water bottles over there? Where do you want to put them over there? I went home and got plastic bags myself and brought them back to the fields and picked up the water bottles, and I brought them to the recycle center. My tax dollars paying for these people to maintain the parks. I call the manager, and what do I get? Talk to the commission, talk to this guy, talk to that guy. I'm looking to streamline things. I care about this community. And for anybody that's concerned about fields, that you're not going to get the soccer association, near and dear to my heart, the baseball association. I'm not crazy about lacrosse, but we'll put that in there too.
He's joking. He's joking. That was sarcasm. You should say that was sarcastic.
I played lacrosse. I think at the end of the day, we all care about the community. I appreciate you guys coming out here and voicing your concerns. And I think the councilwoman, the deputy mayor, had said it. We're going to address everything, all your concerns, and put you guys first. I'm not looking for some outside entity to come into the town and take over the fields. Sometimes you got to move on with change. On the outside, it's funny, I was talking to a fellow today. I spent the weekend going through a program, accepting change. Nobody wants to accept change. Sometimes, on the outside, things look great. It's worked for 50 years. As the councilman said, it's been around since World War II. Wow. Can we streamline our efforts? Can we make it better? I hope we can improve things. And why are we moving so fast on it? Well, I hope this council moves fast on everything. I hope we move fast on the downtown. I hope we move fast on a Frazee House. I hope we can get things done. I campaigned on it that we were going to get things done. Moving fast? Well, hold on. We're moving fast. I hope we can get a lot of things done. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Mr. Renaud, can you just clarify how this resolution is going to protect the Scotch Plains Recreation Commission?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, let's start with the ordinance. The ordinance specifically indicates that all of the rules and regulations that are presently in existence remain in existence. It also indicates what the role of the recreation director is, which is essentially exactly what the recreation director does now. In order to reinforce that the policies that have been previously adopted will remain in effect, I was requested to and did prepare a separate resolution that's on the, I understand it's on the consent agenda for later, which specifically talks about the allied organizations and the fact that the previous resolution of the Recreation Commission regarding the allied associations and the field allocation and everything that pertains to that remains in effect. So all of the, according to the ordinance and the language of it, all of the operation of the department will be the same as the operation of the commission. The ordinance only essentially changes the reporting function, but presently, again, all the employees, rather than being employees of the township, although they get a check from the township, are employees of the commission. Now they'll be employees of the township. The director of recreation, rather than being an employee of the Recreation Commission, will be an employee of the township. Those are the who people report to, that is that they're employees of the township as opposed to of the Recreation Commission, is the only real difference in what happens. And I hope I answered your question, but the resolution that's on the consent agenda is specifically to reinforce, and frankly, in all candor, I thought it wasn't necessary, but it's being done anyway, just to put a belt and suspenders to make everybody understand that there isn't any intention to change any of the policies with respect to fields or the use of them by any of the organizations.
And what about funds?
The
recreation funds?
The funds that are held by the Recreation Commission will be held by the township as they presently are.
As they presently are?
As they presently
So
are.
that will not change?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Just a final comment. I mean, everyone has spoken clearly on how they felt about this. Yeah, I'm troubled by what I've heard from our Councilman Jones, and I completely disagree with a lot of his sentiment. I'm disturbed, as many of you are, that it appears, it's not appears, it's clearly that this has sunk to personalities and politics, which there really should be none when it comes to, you know, running our recreation facilities that care for our kids. I've heard that we've not spoken to anybody. Well, I don't think that's completely accurate. I know the deputy mayor has spent a considerable amount of time reaching out to some of the coaches and some of the, I believe one of the commissioners. I know that I spoke with the chairman at great length, probably over an hour, just to share, you know, kind of where we were or where I was. You know, it's clear, and I hope to me, and I hope it's clear to everybody in this room, that this mayor, this council, most of which of us have served in some capacity either as a coach or have served as a liaison to the recreation, truly cares about recreation in this town. I mean, there should be no doubt that our utmost goal is to do our best, to do better if possible. I mean, you've heard some reference to our new manager, Al Mirabella. Is there someone in this room who could say that, you know, we could not be in better hands than Mr. Mirabella, who has stood by this community as in his role as a freeholder, you know, responsible of recreation for the county, on making certain that Scotch Plains was well looked after and cared for. I can't imagine anybody would contradict me on that. And if they did, I can't imagine. I just couldn't imagine how they would do that. Look, we're not going to convince anybody tonight that, you know, what our motives are, because this has sunk to personalities and politics. I think the best way to prove that this change is going to be good for the entire community is will be through deed and through action. And I believe we can achieve more great things for our community with volunteers, as we've done in the past in all capacities, whether it's on a technology committee, whether it's you know, with our cultural arts committee. I mean, people, our volunteers are dear to us and are invaluable. And clearly, I would expect that those who are involved in our recreational sports today will continue to do so in the future. I'd be surprised if they would abandon their passion and their concern for our community and our children. That said, time will tell, and I think time will tell a good story. So with that, Deputy Mayor, let us move on.
Mayor, I move that this ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be advertised according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Roll call, Mayor.
I apologize.
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sorte?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Thank you. Ms. Lucina, can we read the next ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 2015-3, an ordinance to amend section 2-20, Fire Department Establishment and Regulations in Chapter 2 Administration of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Scotch Plains to provide for the appointment of a deputy chief and to amend the provisions pertaining to smoke-sensitive alarm devices.
Mayor, I move that this is a first reading or second reading?
Second reading.
Second reading, I'm sorry. Mayor, I move that the public hearing on this ordinance be opened.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone like to address the council on this matter? Seeing no one? Deputy Mayor?
Mayor, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
May we have a roll call? All in favor?
One more.
Mayor, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
Go ahead.
It does indicate here that
No.
that we look for a vote after the closing.
I have that, please, go ahead.
Mayor, I move that this ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be advertised according to law.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Now we'll have our vote.
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sorte?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. May we now move to our next ordinance, Ms.
Just
Lucy?
a quick comment on that last ordinance that we just passed. I see that our fire chief is with us, and I thank you for all of the hard work that you put into keeping that department running the way that it does. Between you and your volunteers, you really help keep us in very, very safe hands. I would love for the council to have an opportunity when you do select your deputy chief, to have an opportunity to also be introduced to that person. It would be an honor to be able to recognize him or her at a subsequent meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss, can we read the next ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 2015-4, an ordinance to amend section 17-4, Uniform Fire Code Enforcement in Chapter 17, Fire Prevention of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Scotch Plains to provide for the revision of the fee for a certificate of fire inspection and to revise certain permit fees.
Please.
Mayor, I move that the public hearing on this ordinance be opened.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Would
Aye.
anyone like to address the council with reference to this matter? Seeing no one,
Mayor, I move that the public hearing be closed.
is there a second?
Second.
May we vote on this?
Aye.
Yes.
Mayor, I move that the ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be advertised according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
May we have a roll call?
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sordi?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Moving right along, may we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
February,
February 3rd, 2015 conference meeting and February 7th, 2015 council business meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The manager's report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things to share with the council and the public. First is just a quick update on the Darby Road Festival. I think that went off very well this year. It was a lot of teamwork and cooperation with the township staff, the neighbors in the community, and also the Darby Road management. So that, although wasn't an easy process, certainly came together at the end. They had a festival, and everybody had a good time. Nobody got hurt. The police chief and everyone kind of cooperated. We were able to have a non-event, but a good time for everyone. So that's the main thing.
I'm happy to hear that.
And everybody lived harmoniously through the process. I expect to pull the township leadership together that worked on this to discuss in an after-action plan how we can make the process even better. Next year, more streamlined, more consistent, and I think there's opportunity for that. And I think we'll make it easier for the township to incorporate festivals like this moving forward.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to give a quick update on the Special Improvement District. I'll be reviewing the structure, the mission, and the strategy moving forward, but did want to give an update to the council. There seems to be some communication around the community that their fees are going to be reinstituted for business. That's not the case. And I want to be very clear with you, Mayor and Council, that there's no conversation, zero, on any fees being implemented for our business community. There is some amount of money that's been collected, and we're going to determine the best, working with the SID, on how to move forward with that. We in the council will have the opportunity to vote on LOSAP in a little bit, which is the Length of Service Award Program for volunteers in fire and first aid squad. Those individuals who fulfill the requirements are able to collect some dollars to put into a long-term fund for them upon leaving the department. And this council has saw fit to increase this amount from $1,150 to $1,250, $100 a year per person, the first time that we've made an increase and a kind of a nice acknowledgement to our volunteers in fire and first aid of their service and community involvement. I was able last week to meet with the mayor and the American Water representatives to discuss the dirt, the mountain of dirt, and the pipes and some of the stuff that's being kind of staged at the Terry Luzu property. I was very happy with the mayor's representation to the utility, American Water, about cleaning up the area appropriately, making sure the streets returned the way it should be, and also to talk to them about if there's any opportunity to help the township down the road, maybe even with some development on that property too. So that was a very good meeting with the American Water and the mayor. I thank the neighbors in that area who have been extremely patient with not only the sound, but the dust and the dirt in that area. And maybe the residents on Portland Avenue can thank the residents there, because it's certainly, as a result of staging the dirt and the pipes there, it's making that process go quicker on Portland Avenue. If they had to truck all that dirt away to farther distances, it would take a much longer time period. So that's a good thing and good community involvement. The April agenda meeting next month will include a presentation on safe routes to schools, and I thank Councilwoman Checchio for that suggestion. So we'll have a presentation in April to kind of get some more information on that program. There's also, I'm working on a plan and a meeting to gather an update on the Shakamaxon property and where they're at with that. I think this council deserves an update, and I'm working towards pulling a group together for that. The Mayor's Gala is planned for May 1st at Snuffy's. I hope everyone here will attend and those listening on TV. And we're honoring some terrific representatives of our community. Marie Leopard, John Lestarchek, Ruby and Thurman Simmons, and the Preserve Shady Rest Committee. And you know, they're all very worthy. I think it's going to be a terrific event. If you need any information on that event or anything else for that matter, you can call my office at 322-6700 and extension 313. We'll also be holding in May the first ever and an annual event, the Arts and Crafts Show on the Green, which will be Saturday, May 16th from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. That will prove to be a good event. And finally, Mayor and Council and the public, we will be starting for the first time this summer Scotch Plains Friday Night at the Movies, with the first movie out on the Green on June 12th. And on every Friday moving forward, it'll be a nice opportunity for the community to come together, shop in our downtown, have something to eat, and enjoy the movie. All right, Mayor, that concludes my
Thank you very much.
report at
We
this
look
time.
forward to Scotch Plains Movies on the Green.
It'll be fun.
Everyone come out.
Mr. Marabella, we do have somebody in the community, a local resource that's really an expert on safe routes to school and complete streets. She's presented before the council before, graciously, and I know would be happy to come back and do so again. So if I could give you her information,
Sure. It'd be great. Coordinate it all. It'd be great. Terrific.
Perfect.
Okay.
Reports of special committees.
I have a few things.
Good.
I'm very happy that Mrs. Perkins mentioned the musical Grease. We did have an opportunity to attend this weekend. We attended Sunday's performance. It was absolutely a fabulous show. Beyond being just an amazing tribute to the quality of our music program and the theater department, I would tell you that if you can go to the show, the set design is like nothing you could even imagine. It's unbelievable. I've seen many performances done at the high school level. I have never had the opportunity to see such a well-designed set and see so many moving pieces come together. It was also very nice to see so many community people who I know don't have children in the high school there to support the performance. Father John and Father David being two of our local celebrities that were there with us on Sunday. It really was an absolute pleasure. I'm also very excited to report to the council that the environmental committee has met for the first time, I think, possibly since World War II as well, since we're going to go back that far. We had a really fabulous first meeting with a lot of great resources. We were joined by several members of the community, including our Mr. Timko, who joins us as a volunteer member of that committee, and really helped us navigate through a grant that we were hoping to submit to American Water. Unfortunately, one of the grant stipulations was that the project needed to be completed by the end of November. Mr. Timko, Mr. Porio did work in tandem to try to see if there was a way to submit for segments of the project. We weren't able to do so. But it started a dialogue. American Water knows that we're interested in future grant opportunities. American Water knows this town and our mayor in particular very well. I laughed, Mr. Marabella, when you said about that meeting, because I've seen some other meetings. And I would say that we will continue to work together. I'm headed for training on the 28th of May to help the Environmental Committee really flourish, and I'm very proud to serve as their liaison. We also have a local high school student, Mr. Marabella, who is drafting a resolution in recognition for Earth Day that really speaks to some specific initiatives that our local residents can do, and I'm hoping that he can join us at the April council meeting. And that is all that I have for my special committees, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Please.
Okay, I have some news from the Senior Advisory. The Recreation Commission is sponsoring their popular senior fitness classes, which return this spring. Registration for senior dance fitness as well as senior yoga will begin Thursday, April 2nd at 8:30 a.m. Registration can be done in person at the Recreation Office or online using the Community Pass link on the website. Senior transportation. Transportation for residents who are senior citizens is available and provided free of charge by the Township. Our bus service includes transportation to senior social clubs, shopping, and mall trips, as well as medical transportation on an as-needed basis. To register or for more information, please contact or dial a ride number at 908-322-5151. Transportation for Senior Day at High School. The Scotch Plains-Fanwood Board of Education is sponsoring their annual Senior Citizen Appreciation Day on March 26th from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The Township is providing door-to-door transportation for any senior who does not have the ability to drive themselves. To set up transportation for this day, please call our dial-a-ride number at 908-322-5151. I would like to thank St. John's for allowing us, for our seniors to use their building for the last couple weeks. So for recreation, the Small Fry program is open for registration. The program is open to children ages 3 to 5 that have yet to enter kindergarten and are potty trained. Our program features 3 two-week sessions beginning June 29th and ending August 7th. Each session has 2 time slots, a 9 a.m. and an 11:30 a.m. session. Limited space is available in each of the 2-week sessions and in each time slot. Girls Softball League. Registration for our girls softball program is still open for any girls who would like to join. Girls in grades 2nd through 8th will participate in league play, participating in playing games on weeknights and Saturday mornings. Our kindergarten and first graders will participate in our clinic program, learning fundamentals and rules on Monday evenings and Saturday afternoons. The registration fee is $85 for 2nd through 8th graders. Our K through 1 registration fee is $65. The Cultural Arts Committee is sponsoring the Easter egg hunt. The annual Easter egg hunt will take place on Saturday, March 28th at 11 a.m. on the Allen Augustine Village Green, adjacent to the municipal building. The egg hunt will feature a variety of activities, including balloon art, face painting, and of course the Easter egg hunt. All families are welcome, and the egg hunters must be 10 and under. For more information, please contact Recreation.
Thank you. Any other committee reports?
I would just say I wish we had that date a little bit sooner, because that's the date that I rescheduled the training for. Egg hunt is something that comes up every year that I wish we could just get that date out a little bit sooner.
Well, let's get Anthony, your husband, to bring those kids. I'm sure they'll have fun, right?
For candy? Candy from the mayor.
They'll come. Come on now. Come on now. They'll have a lot of fun. They did last time. Here, I know they did. I was with them. Mr. Jones, anything? Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, just one quick thing. I
Please.
neglected to mention that this weekend is the St. Bart's 5K run on Saturday.
Right.
There could be some road closures in the area, particularly around Portland, as the work being done there is a result of the problems with the main break. So just be careful if you're running. I'm sure they'll have people out there directing, and the police will be out there making sure.
There's a big hole in the ground. No one's going to miss it.
Don't miss that.
Do you know what time that begins?
It's typically in the morning.
It's like around 9.
I saw you out there, Mr. Marabella, last year. Will you be joining?
I did walk. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend this year.
I'm going to be a marshal
My
this
daughter
year.
will be there, though. Oh, will you?
Which means the runners will be running past me.
That's a good spot.
Just one other brief announcement. I think we're beyond our 30th year annual event for our Cultural Arts Series. Will begin on July 9th. We have 5 amazing concerts that will be scheduled. We'll be coming back to you with more information on that. But as most of you know who've attended the concerts, and those who you haven't and ought to, these are wonderful concerts, okay, for all ages. And the concerts, as I said, begin July 9th. They take place on St. Augustine, Allen Augustine's Green, right adjacent to the municipal building. So we'll give you more information as the date nears. But as in the past, this is something a whole lot of folks look forward to, and clearly people have a lot of fun attending. Let's move along, all right? We have some new business. We have a consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to move the consent agenda, items number 2015-64 through item 2015-75.
Is there a second?
Second.
I guess we should take a roll call on this.
Roll call, Mayor.
Please.
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sorte?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. We have some other new business. May I have a motion on the bill list?
Mayor, I'd like to move the bill list in the amount of $7,226,615.06.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
If you want to hear it, okay, Mayor, the grand total is $7,226,615.06, of which $5,163,112 is a school allocation, and almost $1.5 million is for pension, both public employees and police and fire.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. We've had a motion, we've had a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sorte?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. May I have a motion on resolution 2015-76?
Sure, Mayor. I'd like to move resolution 2015-076, resolution reaffirming support for the Recreation Allied Associations policy.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We've had much discussion on this. I don't know if it requires any further discussion.
I'd like to make a comment, if you don't mind.
Please.
I'd like to thank Mr. Renaud. I know that this has been a busy couple days for him, and I really appreciate him taking the time to look into this matter. And I would really like to thank our manager for jumping right on to support this when we heard from our leagues and our volunteers that this was something that could help alleviate some of their concerns. As an aside, I have so much faith in your ability to just do a fantastic job really navigating some of the human pieces to making assurances. And I'm hoping that with tonight's ordinance having been passed and now with this resolution reaffirming our commitment, possibly that you could take some time to meet with Mr. Porio and with the heads of our leagues. And I'm also hoping, and I know that some of them are in the audience or maybe they have left, that the talents and the time that we have had so many of our commissioners contribute, that they will continue to contribute those efforts as members of the committee. So thank you. And thank you very much, Mr. Renaud, really.
Thank you, and thank you to all. Time to move forward.
Mr. Mayor.
By all means, you may ask.
Thank you. So this obviously just came to us kind of in the half hour before the meeting. Could you just summarize what does this accomplish, this resolution?
It reaffirmed the resolution. There was a resolution of the Recreation Commission. I think I have a copy of it with me. Yeah, I do. That established what the policies are for the allied associations, and the purpose of the resolution was to reaffirm that even though the ordinance says that all the resolutions continue, but the purpose was to reaffirm that this resolution remains in effect.
So, what is as a resolution, it's not part of the ordinance or anything, like it's not becoming town law. What is functionally, not even this resolution, but any resolution, what does it mean when our council passes a resolution? Is that something that, is that like a rule that stays in effect forever? What does it mean to pass a resolution?
In this case, well, any resolution or any ordinance for that matter can be amended in the way that any other, piece of legislation is. But this resolution, as I said, does nothing other than repeat what is in the ordinance, which is that the current resolutions continue. So, yeah, this is a rule or regulation by resolution.
So is matter moving forward now that the commission's dissolved, let's say this council wants to change, let's say we want to strengthen this allied association set of rules in some way, shape, or form. Functionally, what do we have to do going forward to make that change?
You could, for example, propose that resolution and then propose it to the council, and then we would adopt a resolution strengthening the resolution.
So basically just another resolution to change it?
Yes. This one's a resolution. What's in effect now is a resolution. I mean, it's
Right.
not part of the Constitution or anything. It's just,
Right.
it's a resolution.
So if we wanted to make it more sticky, if you will, could we put it in as part of an ordinance? In other words, that would change the requirement going forward in terms of what it would take to remove or add to it.
Well, rules and regulations are usually not adopted by ordinance. I mean, it would depend. We'd have to, if we had a conference meeting, we could talk about what kind of changes were proposed and then decide whether they should be part of an ordinance or part of a resolution.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think, speaking for myself personally, and I know, Colleen, you've had a lot of discussions with people on this issue in the last few days. It seems to me like something we ought to continue the conversation on, or at a minimum, just to make sure that we're all satisfied that the rules in here, now that they're going to be rules that we're responsible for, are sufficient. So.
Well, actually, the council is not strictly responsible for the rules. It still is the director of recreation still promulgates rules, or actually would promulgate rules with the approval of the manager. So that function isn't going to change. Some things generally, let's forget this ordinance for a second. I mean, sometimes you want to put things in an ordinance and sometimes you don't want to put them in an ordinance. So, for example, fees, depending upon what the program is, you have an ordinance that says we're going to have fees. Then during the course of the year, you set what the fees are. You really, if that's the kind of a thing we're talking about, you don't want to have an ordinance, because then you're going to have to spend money advertising it and go through all this rigmarole to change fees. But it's as I said, it's something we could discuss on how you want to handle it.
But so as it is going forward, these rules then, they would essentially change as a function of how the recreation department decides to change them. In other words, the director and the manager making that decision. Is that correct understanding?
The director can promulgate rules with the approval of the manager, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was the same lecture that I got on the phone this afternoon.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, we've had a motion, we've had a second. All those in favor?
We can roll call, all those in favor?
It's not a roll call.
Whatever.
Yes, roll call,
Roll call for
please.
this?
Resolutions, as a general rule, you're better off with roll calls on resolutions.
Okay.
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sorte?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Okay, we have an ordinance, 2015-005, first reading.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Christina, do you-
An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a capped bank for the calendar year 2015 when the COLA is equal to or less than 2.5%, according to NJSA 40A 4-45.14.
Mayor, I'd like to move that this ordinance be adopted on first reading and be advertised according to law in the Scotch Plains Times, and that copies be available in the clerk's office and posted on the bulletin board. The second and final reading and public hearing of the same to be held on
April 21st.
April 21st at 7:00 p.m. in the Municipal Building, Park Avenue, Scotch Plains.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Mrs. Checchio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sordi?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Next item on our agenda is the introduction of our 2015 municipal budget. I say I think this may be the earliest we've done this in recent memory, if not in my entire memory of being on council. So I will turn to Mr. Marabella.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and the public. I want to thank, first of all, the mayor and council for their guidance and assistance in developing this 2015 Scotch Plains budget. I'm happy to announce with all of you that there is a zero increase to our budget. It will be a flat budget from 2014 to 2015. The department heads are committed and should be commended for their assistance in working on their individual department budgets, and the open dialogue that we've had when I first got here working together has been terrific. And I really want to thank our finance officer, Lori Majeski, for her assistance and oversight of the budget process as our chief financial officer. A formal presentation will be delivered at our April 21st meeting, and our CFO and auditor will be here as well. The budget process began 2 months ago with individual department meetings with the department heads, myself, and the finance officer. We had budget hearings with the mayor and council to provide their input and give them some information on the budget and individual departments. And then I took that input and worked with all of your input and put together this final budget for your consideration. As the mayor said, it's the earliest this budget's been adopted and introduced in many years, and I'm happy that we're able to do that. This budget provides necessary services, public safety, recreational, and cultural events, preserves our historic sites, and addresses our building infrastructure in a cost-effective manner. And I want to give you just a few high-level numbers. The amount to be raised by taxes in 2015 is $14,696,622.02, down from 2014, which was $14,712,132.99. State aid is flat this year, which we were happy to hear. There was some rumors that it might not have been, but in the governor's address, he mentioned and then had follow-up that it is a flat amount for us in the amount of $2,227,587. The library allocation is $1,320,717. And our total budget, just for walking around knowledge, is $24,576,946.36. But it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate all the cooperation of the council members and the mayor to help formulate this budget, and working with the directors. I think it's a good, solid budget and no tax increase. So I'm delighted to be able to share that news with you, and I hope you all will be in a position to support that. Thank you.
I'm very enthusiastic. Thank you, Mr. Barrow. First of all, that we were able to introduce this earlier, as I said, in recent memory, and it only took me 8 years to get to nil. But, you know, we're doing the kinds of things in this town, being the good guardians of the township's resources, and, you know, let's hope this continues. And Mr. Marabella, well done, and the entire governing body, well done. We're not there yet, but we will be there. Lots of work to be done. And I think you highlighted many of the things that this budget will be addressing this year and in the coming year with long-term benefits to all of our citizens. With that, Ms. Lucina, you have something?
You have a council comment?
Do you want to comment, by all means?
Yeah, I would like to comment. I want to thank the manager for the time he's spent with me. We've gone over a number of departments, and I know I've had quite a few questions. We are introducing early this year, and I know you've given me the opportunity to meet with the new head of DPW. I just unfortunately haven't taken advantage of that yet, so that's one department where I still don't have all the details yet, but I'm sure we'll get to that
Okay,
point.
sure.
One point of clarification, when you said we have a flat budget, you're referring to a no tax increase, right?
That's correct.
In terms of the budget, though, in terms of spending, right, we're still, I think we're growing about 1%, which is a good number. But that's a correct characterization?
Yeah, I mean, the overall levy raised by the taxpayers is actually down dollar for dollar.
The
tax rate
ex-library
is staying-
part of it.
The ex-library part, and it's staying the same. And then the difference is made up from grants and other
Right.
State aid and things like that.
So spending going up about 1%, tax levy staying flat.
Right.
There are two things I want to highlight in this budget that are still just a little bit of concern to me that I'd like to, we're early here, so there's still time to amend, and I'd like the other council members to consider. And I know, Mr. Mirabella, you stated at the beginning of this how you went to all the department heads and really pushed them hard and said, hey, let's have flat. Let's have flat in every department. There's two departments, though, that depart from that a bit more than I would like. One is the library, who's getting a cut down to the state minimum, and the other is on the legal budget, which is up substantially from last year. It's up about 50% higher than what we spent last year. If we could make both of those departments flat to last year, I'd be more satisfied, and in fact, that would leave us in a position where we'd be able to have a small tax cut. So that's kind of my 2 cents at this point.
Okay.
As far as the legal budget, I would caution us to make sure that we're leaving adequate dollars there, because quite frankly, we were handed some damage for 1/1 takeover, and we've got some work to do, and the legal resources need to be there. There are things that need correcting, and advice of legal counsel will get us moving in the right direction. Just because something's budgeted doesn't mean it needs to be spent. And I'm sure that you will use absolute caution to continue to spend that money wisely. I'll renew my concerns that I do wish, as a council, we had decided to increase the funding that goes to recreation to help drive down some of the cost of the recreation programs. Perhaps in year 4, I will be able to sway that in my direction. I did have an opportunity to email you just this weekend, and I know you were very busy on Mr. Vespucci's porch, making sure that the sound level was low. But I would like to have that side conversation. There's one more department head that I just need just to go for some clarification on line items.
Okay.
So if we could just take it through there. And I'm also very anxious to hear, as we move forward, what our long-term goals are for really making the best possible and most productive Department of Public Works. We have such a hard-working crew of amazing folks up there, and I'm just anxious to hear, a little bit more about the specific direction we're heading in. And I know you're looking into a lot of very strong, solid options for us. And I also just want to commend you and Mrs. Majeski. I know how much work goes into building even a budget, on a much smaller scale. To see a budget built for a municipality, you dove right in, and I thank you very much for the work that you did on this.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
I don't want to just address Councilman Jones. I appreciate his comment on the library funding too, and I can assure you that I met not only with the outgoing director, but the incoming director, and worked through and had a real good comfort level that was an appropriate amount of funding. So I appreciate your thought and your concern. I had it myself, and we did talk, and I think we're in good, solid position to give them the funding that they require and that they need. We took their capital request too and added that. I think it might have made it to the council workshop.
Yeah, it's on the new
copy
one.
with
I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it there. Yeah.
Air conditioning units too, that they have come forward.
It's definitely needed.
And a lot of celebration about Meg's tenure here, and I wish her only the best. She's been a terrific partner, and I was like a library guy for many years and an advocate for libraries. I do also think that the incoming director Michelle is going to be a wonderful addition to the county, the Township family, and I'm looking forward to working with her too.
What is her start date?
April 1st.
And what is her name?
Michelle.
Okay. I know, you have a...
Who's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't want to belabor this, but again, Mr. Marabella, I said it from the beginning. Earliest I can recall it being introduced, nil. And I'm really pleased at that. I'm happy that Councilman Jones I think will support this too. Recognizing last year, Councilwoman Jill and I at the time met with great opposition to bringing it down to nil, because we were, told at great length how it would be wrong, it would cause financial ruin to our community. Well, it didn't. We were right then. I believe we're right now. We were right 2 years ago, and I look forward to put you out on the spot for a nil increase next year. Now that's really stepping out there. But I'm saying it like I said, I'm hopeful. But and if we could ever reduce taxes and have a bipartisan support on that, that would be a beautiful thing, Mr. Mirabella.
Thank you, Mayor.
But you got to start someplace, and we finally got there. Thank you so much. So with that. How are you?
Be it resolved that the following statement of revenue and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the Township of Scotch Plains, County of Union for the year 2015. Be it further resolved that said budget shall be published in the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Times in the issue of March 26, 2015. The governing body of the Township of Scotch Plains does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2015. General appropriations for appropriations within caps, municipal purposes, $18,966,222. Appropriations excluded from caps, municipal purposes, $3,760,724.36. Reserve for uncollected taxes, $1,850,000. The total general appropriations, $24,576,946.36, less the anticipated revenue, $8,559,607.34, and the difference, which is the amount to be raised by taxes for support of the municipal budget, local tax for municipal purposes, including the reserve for uncollected taxes, $14,696,622.02, and the minimum library tax, $1,320,717. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution, which will be approved by the governing body of the Township of Scotch Plains, County of Union on March 17, 2015, a hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at Town Hall on April 21st, 2015 at 7 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2015 may be presented by taxpayers and/or interested persons.
Thank you, Ms. Lucina. May I have a motion to introduce the 2015 municipal budget?
First ordinance, first reading. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce the 2015 municipal budget.
Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
May we have a roll call?
Mrs. Shekio?
Aye.
Mr. Del Sordi?
Aye.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Thank you. Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward, state your name and address.
My name's Elmer Pete Terry, 1421 Royal Road, Scotch Plains. I'd like to make a comment on Mr. Taylor. I know Mr. Taylor some better than 55 years. Played touch football against him for several years, played baseball with him and against him for years. Always knew him to be a good athlete, really great sportsman, and a gentleman. And the only problem is, I didn't know his name was Charles until I read the agenda. That's Skeeter. I don't know who Charles is. So anyhow, I happened to run into Skeeter a couple days ago, and I said, I know he had some problems. I said, Skeeter, how you doing? He says, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Everything's fine. And he said, do you go to the council meetings? I said, yeah, we go to the council meetings. And he says, well, I'm getting some kind of honor at the next council meeting. I said, how so? He said, well, it's something I did a long time ago. So I was very highly honored to be a friend and have a teammate and a competitor with Skeeter, but now all this has come out. I'm doubly honored. He's a great guy, and you know, I appreciate that the town council and everybody got it out of him exactly what he's done over the years. I mean, he's a strong, you know, persevering guy, and I'm honored to have known him. Am I limited to 2 minutes?
Continue.
You have some time.
Okay.
It's 3 minutes, you have some time.
I was doodling on Google the other day, and I came across a very interesting press release. And Mr. Marabella may know about this one, but it's a Union County press release for immediate release October 18, 2013. And I'll go quickly to the second page. And it says, preserve Union County grants. And number 11 is Township of Scotch Plains for Shady Rest Country Club, $25,000. Now, I've been on the Shady Rest, Preserve Shady Rest Committee since before then, and I was just wondering who asked for the grant and where'd it go? Because it certainly didn't go into the Shady Rest building. And I was just wondering if anybody knows what happened and how it happened.
Please.
Through you, Mayor. Every other year, there's a Preserve Union County grant for historic preservation, and imagine at that point, someone in the township put in a, you know, a grant request. I don't know exactly where, when it got here, but
well, that's why I just wanted to bring up that point.
I'm sure there's a. I can pull the request and understand what
it's just a point of information. That's, you know, I'm just asking a question, and I really wasn't going to make a comment on the Recreation Commission, but you know, we had kids.
30 seconds.
Okay,
No,
we had kids.
I moved to extend.
And we played, you know, we had kids, they played, I played, I was young once, and the thing is that the Recreation Commission, all these people are speaking, don't go into the understanding that there is more to the Recreation Commission than just playing fields. You know, we talked about Brookside Park. So the gentleman over here that was so passionate about Brookside Park, that's been neglected over the years. Deputy Mayor Gianella speaks of the no maintenance in the restrooms and the buildings in the parks, and of course the what I feel was the purposely benign neglect of Shady Rest in the hopes that it would go beyond repair. So I would just like you know, to make mention of that there's a lot more to recreation than just playing fields. Now, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm the greatest guy in the world for athletes and athletics and competition, but there is more than just the youngsters playing ball. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. Anyone else would like to address the council? Please come forward.
Carolyn Perkins, 861 Westfield Road, Scotch Plains. Regarding the municipal budget, thank you very much, Mr. Marabella. Will a copy of that be in the library at the reference desk?
Yes.
When it's...
It should be online, too.
It is there already. We sent it over on Thursday.
On Thursday?
The full budget, yes.
Really? Okay, because I did not see that. All right, thank you. I had given you, Mr. Marabella, and you, Mayor Glover, copies of how to apply for a grant. Now, when I looked at the proposed budget that's at the reference desk, and I saw all the wants and all the desires for all the departments, there were only 2 grants listed in that entire folder. So I am hoping that we can get more grants, in particularly for Shady Rest. It is a wonderful building that really should be preserved, and I'm hoping with Mr. Shippen and the Shady Rest, we can put very positive vibes regarding Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Grants are so important. The library, I happen to be able to work at the book sale. Those volunteers do a heck of a lot of good. The kids love the books. Everybody has a good time. They work very hard for monies that they want to use at their discretion because they're friends of the library. Mr. Del Sordi, you mentioned about all the bottles that you picked up at the playing fields. I mentioned this, and I've mentioned it again, and I mentioned it again, and I won't hit my head against a brick wall. There are containers that are this high, that are shaped like a can, that has a hole for bottles and cans. Fanwood has them in their senior meeting. Scotch Plains throws it all in the garbage at Shady Rest. Every field, every park should have those containers, and then just pick it up. I have some labels I will give you, Mr. Mirabella, when I come back from my trip. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out again.
I'm looking forward to seeing the municipal budget. Good job.
Thank you very much. Glad you could come out.
Tom Reed, the 1632 East 2nd Street. Winter has come and gone, and it was another hard winter for people in New Jersey. I just want to make a comment on the 2nd Street Business Street, or even Plainfield, or I guess it would be Westfield Road, needs to be cleaned up a little bit better when the snow comes. It can't be treated as a residential road like a Cushing or a Cooper Road. This year, just like last year, we lose about 5 feet of parking space from the curb to the road. It gets doesn't come back and get picked up a second time. I know we have kind of a revolving door in some of our positions here in town, and it might be that a snow plan of attack for the business district needs to be sat down and written, and maybe somebody within. We've got some great people who work in the Township DPW, and they're what are considered lifers. They've been here for a long time, and I don't think they're going anywhere, who have the insight and knowledge of how to, what needs to be done, but they needs maybe the direction or given the autonomy to be able to say, this is your street or this is your area. I know other towns do it that way, and make sure that when it snows, the street gets cleaned from curb to curb so that people can park and can walk safely when they go to the Swiss pastry shop, can walk safely to the front door and not be fearful that when they open the door, an oncoming truck is going to come and take the door off. You know, the road is about 40 feet wide, I think, and when you lose 5 feet on either side, you're down to 30 feet. And when you have maybe a municipal dump truck come by or a plow truck come by and somebody's opened up the door on a fairly large vehicle, you encroach that. And it has a double yellow line. When I went to school, driver's ed, a double yellow line means you're legally not supposed to cross. I know people nowadays don't know what those different lines mean, and double yellow and double white and single yellow and dotted lines and all that. But we do need to look at, after last year and this year, a better program for maintaining the 2nd Street and some of the other business roads that the county doesn't take care of.
Thank you, sir, for coming out. We'll make note of that. Mr. Mirabella.
Done.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Council comment, if anybody would like to have a closing statement. Press is still here.
I have one thing. I just wanted to, I didn't speak during the manager's report, but I did want to thank our manager for the work he did in regards to the recent St. Patty's Day celebration, which hopefully I can get over there for the last half hour. I know you really did go above and beyond trying to bring people together on that, and you know, that speaks to you personally in terms of how much you care about the community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Additionally, like you said, hopefully we can take that and what we've learned there moving forward and try and make sure we're giving a consistent message, because one of the ways you grow a downtown and the downtown business is to not have permitting and other processes be complicated. We don't want business owners getting a different story every time they go to do something. I know you know that, and I think that's great that you'll be looking into that going forward. So thank you for both of those.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else like to, from the council? Public comment?
I forgot to say something about the veterans. In 1999, Christy Whitman passed a resolution increasing the deduction for the veterans' taxes. They get a tax break. So it went from $50 to $100 to $150 to $200 and $250. It's been at $250 since the year 2003. However, our taxes have gone up. It is not something that you can do, but Mr. Marabella, I don't know if someone can contact the state. This is a state reimbursement for all veterans. And if you see, and I'm sure some of you have with Wounded Warriors and what veterans have gone through, our taxes go up. It'd be nice to give them a break if that's possible.
Thank you again for coming out tonight. Any other comments from the council? Hearing none, I'm going to open the phone for anyone who would like to call into this meeting. It is St. Patty's Day, March 17, 2015. This is your Township Council. We're waiting to hear from you. The number you can call us on is 908-322-2076. That number again, 908-322-2076. Hearing nobody call, no, just kidding.
It's Mrs. Estrange.
Is it Miss Lachey?
It's got to be.
Hold on. Council, good evening. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Same to you. This is Jeanette Rotella. I just got a couple of telephone calls from members that were members of the Golden Ages that was on the trip today. I believe, I'm not sure, I didn't hear it, but Mrs. Wells, Carolyn Wells, did she say thank you to you for the bus, meaning that the township paid for the bus? I'm not sure. The calls that I had tell me that she said that. You know, if you remember if she said it?
I don't recall if she specifically said that. Your point being?
We paid for it.
Oh, well, so
no,
then
it's a minor thing, but it...
We'll tell Mrs. Wells that she has to get her information correct in the future.
If she said it, I did not hear it.
All right.
I only...
We're going to dress her down on that, but we thank you. And hope you had a good time that day.
Thanks for mentioning it. We do thank the township for the senior council. They run the buses, but that's different than our club. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Don't let that happen again. Something happening here. Council.
Hi, Mayor Glover. This is Kimberly Nix.
Kimberly Nix.
Avenue.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm just calling just to say I like the kinder and gentler council.
We do too.
Yeah, I like all of you, Mayor.
Isn't that something? Well, we do too. And not only that, it's 9:25, and with the introduction of a budget, one would have expected over the last how many years to have been here till 11:30. So we're encouraged by this these newbies that have joined us, and certainly some of the older members, all working together.
Yes, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Nice. Wow. It's popular. We're not getting out of here. Council Chambers.
Yes, I'm calling in regards to, I guess about 2 weeks ago I was there and it talked about the tethering of the dogs in Scotch Plains. And
Yes, ma'am.
they were supposed to get an update and I haven't heard anything. And I know there's a meeting tonight and you guys are taking phone calls. Is there any word on that, about the tethering of the dogs, if that was ever talked about?
I think there was a discussion as you joined us at our conference, and we will be having that discussion further at our conference, which will be in 2 weeks' time, which is when we would typically do that.
Okay, so in 2 weeks. And what date would that be?
April...
I think it's 3 weeks, actually.
Is
3
it?
weeks.
Okay, we'll get it right. So I get corrected too, Ms. Perkins. You're not the only one.
Third?
April 3rd, ma'am.
No, 7th.
April
7th, April 7th.
April 7th. Okay.
Thank you for calling us and reminding us.
Yeah, and that will be at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
7 o'clock, ma'am.
April 7th at 7 o'clock.
All right,
Okay,
hopefully we'll have an
thank you. I'll
update
see
on
you
that.
then.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, this is amazing. Council Chambers.
Great meeting.
Hello.
This grant writing organized in the municipality.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. May I ask if you would indulge us, speak a little louder?
Grant writing organized in the municipality.
Yes.
How is it? organized?
Well, it's actually...
Council members bring grant opportunities forward to the manager? Is the manager the sole
Yes,
searcher?
as I indicated last year, it wasn't done very well in the past, and with our new manager, he will be taking responsibility for that. If there are suggestions, it's certainly going through the grants that are out there through the county and state, you know, that falls now to him, rather than being, you know, dispersed all over the place without any clear direction.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Take volunteers to help with that?
Well, we always love people to call, and absolutely.
If she'd like to come in, I'd love to sit with her and talk about our ideas.
Mr. Marabella, our manager, is saying to give him a call, and by all means, he would welcome the opportunity to meet with you and discuss how you could assist.
Thank you.
You're very kind.
Take care.
Bye.
We have her name
Bye.
by? If we have somebody that wants to help with grants, I'm all about it. No? We don't have her name?
I'm worried we should maybe call Mrs. Estrada.
Well, no. Well, anyway, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you all who came out here and spoke passionately about your concerns. We are one town. We're interested in only doing good for Scotch Plains. There's no ulterior motives up here, contrary to some of the dialogue discussion you heard. Happy St. Patty's Day. We'll end on a happy note. We had a wonderful gentleman we recognized today, and Mr. Taylor. We had our Girl Scouts out here, and we sadly say goodbye to an amazing librarian, Meg Kalaya. And all be well. The weather's getting warmer. Good things coming.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I would look for a second to that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Hear, hear. We're out. It's a wrap.
Yes, how are you?